Hey everyone, in this video, we shall learn how to use AWS IAM roles effectively. In order to demonstrate this, I have created an EC2 instance named Mumbai VPC server in my AWS EC2 console. And also, I have two test buckets named Mak Mahlawat 01 and Mak Mahlawat bucket 02 in my AWS S3 console. For listing these buckets on a command line, we need to take SSH to our EC2 machine and run some AWS CLI commands. Let's open our SSH session and begin. In order to use AWS CLI commands, AWS CLI package must be installed on your machine. Now, since I'm using an AWS Amazon machine image, AWS CLI package comes pre-installed on this machine. So if I run AWS S3 LS, it will say it is unable to locate the credentials in order to access your AWS account, and it needs to be configured using AWS configure. Before we run AWS configure command, we are going to head back to our AWS console and open IAM. We will create a user here and call the user Mac. We will give the user only programmatic access and click next. We will use the existing AWS policies. We will search for S3 and give S3 full access to this user. We will leave the tags as it is, and we will create the user. Now this user has been created, which has an access key ID and a secret access key. We are going to download this file. We shall open the downloaded file and copy the access key ID and go back to our SSH console and run AWS configure and paste the access key ID and go back to our sheet and copy the security access key and paste it and leave everything as default. Press enter, enter. Now I'm going to run AWS S3 LS again, and it will list my buckets, which you were able to see in the console earlier. Now, this user has got complete access to S3. It can create buckets, it can delete the buckets as well. For example, I will go ahead and create a new bucket from the CLI. MB make bucket S3 / Mak Mahlawat bucket 03. It has created the bucket. We will switch to the console and see if the bucket got created there. We will just refresh this. And as you can see, the Mak Mahlawat bucket 03 got created. I can also go ahead and remove the bucket using AWS S3 RB S3 and the name of my bucket 03. It has removed the bucket. As you can see, it's no more on the console. Now, the problem with this access is if you go on to cd/root on this machine and do ls-altr, you will see a hidden directory called .aws. We will switch to that directory and do ls again. You will see config and credentials here. So if you read the credentials, you will be able to read the access key ID and the secret access key over here. If my machine gets compromised, the access key ID and the secret access key will be stolen. So this is not the most appropriate way of using AWS CLI. Now what I will do is I will go ahead and head one step back and remove this directory and run AWS S3 LS again. And it says that I need to configure my credentials again. When we run AWS configure, it does configure AWS on this machine. However, it stores the credentials, which is not really a best practice from AWS viewpoint. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to create a role with similar permissions which we gave to the user. We will head back to IAM console and click on roles. Click create role. We are going to use the common use case for EC2. We are going to click next permissions. We are going to use the same policy which we used for our user earlier. We'll click next. We'll click next again, and we will call this as EC2 calling S3, and we will create the role. Now we will go on to our EC2 console and choose our instance and click actions, click security, click modify IAM role, and select the role which we created and click save. Now we will go back to our SSH session and run AWS S3 LS again. As you can see, the purpose is solved without storing our credentials on the machine. If you would like to learn more about any specific IAM service, please let me know in the comments below. If you liked the content, please consider subscribing to the channel. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.